Chase.
Veronica.
Imagine over 100,000 people coming together in one location, screaming at one thing and for one thing. If you can imagine what that's like, then you can picture what it's like every day at Kyle Field on game days. And here are the sources I have that provided me the information for my speech and helped out with it. The history of the school I found on TAMU's website. They have a history section, and I went and looked up the facts for that. The Aggie Network, they have their own website as well for former and current students that you can go to. It's aggienetwork.com. Aggie Sports, I went to the athletic department's website, which is 12thman.com, and I also found a video clip that I'm going to show later on that I found on YouTube. I'm Tre Luce, and today I'm going to be talking about Texas A&M and its history, the Aggie Network, and Aggie Sports. So let's take it back 144 years when it all began, whenever the student body was mainly comprised of military personnel and men. And if you would have told them that someday they would have to video themselves giving a speech and having to send it in, then they would have thought you were crazy and never would have thought that would have been possible. The history of Texas A&M. It was established April 17, 1871. It was established under a land grant given to Texas A&M by the government that was for the specific purpose of developing public land for the use of education, for agriculture and mechanics, and also for training military personnel. It is the first public institution of higher education in Texas. And in the 1960s, under General James Earl Rudder, is when they diversified and allowed women and African Americans to enter the school, which is a huge turning point. And it's also one of 3 Tier 1 universities in the state, and the other 2 are University of Texas and Rice. The Aggie Network is put in place by former Aggies that look to help out current students at A&M. They provide scholarships for school and the Aggie Ring, job openings, and any other helping thing they can possibly provide for a current student. This was the underlying message at theaggienetwork.com. This graphic here just shows how big and how established the Aggie Network is. And since its founding in 1876, there's been 417,889 former students. There are 246 A&M clubs worldwide. I know that my hometown has an Aggie Mothers Club, and so that leaves 245 more clubs that are just like that. And in 2014, 50,939 former students, friends, and supporters enabled us to provide $10,600,000 of support to Texas A&M, which is amazing. What else can the Aggie Network do besides provide scholarships? It can provide job opportunities by way of an online portal where current students can go in and look at what former Aggies are doing and where they may manage or where they may work and be the boss of, and they can contact them through email and send their resume, and that other Aggie can send back to them and maybe give them a job opportunity where they work now. They help with just about anything that you may face in college. That online portal is also for you to just contact them and talk to them about your experience and how everything's going. And also have one example of how Aggies love helping out other Aggies. This past semester, I was in a business management class, and we had to do a consulting project for a company around the College Station and Bryan area. And so I went on to this website and found a former Aggie that owned a dealership in Brenham. And I was able to contact him, and he got back with me right away and helped us out whenever we needed everything. He gave us all the information we needed, allowed us to come into his company and talk to all his employees and get information that he wouldn't let out to just anyone. And even at the end, he also offered me a job when I graduated. So that's just one way that the Aggie Network can make a big impact on your life. So now we're going to talk about sports, because who doesn't love talking about sports? Still 2012, A&M switched from the Big 12 to the SEC, which is probably the largest thing that's happened to A&M in the last couple of decades at least. It definitely brought on more competition for the sports. It brought on more student enrollment, brought on more recruits. It brought on so many other things that you can't even mention because it's just such a large impact. And one of those that brought along with that was when Johnny Manziel was the quarterback, and he was the quarterback when A&M entered their first year in the SEC, when everybody thought that A&M wasn't going to be any good, they were going to lose 14 games, and that they weren't going to do anything that year. He came on and really helped contribute to the success of A&M in the early years. He was a Heisman winner, which he's only one of two that have ever come through A&M, and he was also a redshirt freshman. He was the first one to ever do that. And Johnny's made a huge impact on our school, not only through sports, but through the popularity and the unpopularity as well with the off-field actions that he's brought along. But you can ask any Aggie, and we all love him and would definitely support him through anything. And A&M has former and current students that are known as the 12th man, and there's only 11 people that can be on the field for a football team at a time, so the fans are known as the 12th man because we're supposed to be there and stand for them and support them throughout the entire game. And I have a little video clip that's going to show how the 12th man can make a large impact. So that video clip, you could kind of tell that how big the 12th man actually is. That was probably about 105,000 fans screaming and backing up our team, and that just goes to show that how large of a fan base that we have and how big of an impact it can make on a football game. One of the quotes that A&M likes to use is from the outside looking in, you can't understand it, and from the inside looking out, you can't explain it, which I definitely agree with. People on the outside that look in at A&M and view us as a cult and view us as being different and doing weird things like having all our yells, and we don't have cheerleaders and things like that. But that's just what makes us unique and what makes us special. And definitely from the inside looking out, you can't explain it because there's just so much happening that it's just, you can't help but love it when you're a student. In conclusion, I hope you learned a lot about the history of Texas A&M. Hope you also learned about the Aggie Network and what it can do for you, and I hope you learned a little bit about Aggie sports. Thanks and giggle.